Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Terp Family Fundamentals webinar series. My name is Danielle Walker, and I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Assistant Director in the Office of Family Engagement. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, this is a series designed to help family members and supporters become informed consultants on campus resources so that you can confidently support your Terps throughout their Maryland experience. This is also a special edition, which also welcomes our students. And so we're excited to have both our Terps and our families tuning in today. I'm pleased to be joined by the Department of Resident Life, who will walk us through assignments release, next steps, and what will be the beginning of your Maryland residential experience. Before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. If you have questions during the webinar, first, please listen to the content and then submit your questions via the Q&A feature in your Zoom toolbar. If you don't see the Q&A icon, you may need to click the three dots that say more and then select the Q&A. To help us address questions that are important to most of you, please use the upvote feature. If you also see a question that you would like answered, select the thumbs up icon instead of typing the same question out. We will try and prioritize those questions with the most upvotes. Also, be sure to look at the answered tab within the Q&A feature, as some of the responses may be provided there throughout the presentation. Finally, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Terp Family YouTube channel later today. You can find the direct link to our channel in your confirmation or reminder emails, as well as going to YouTube and typing in Terp Family. With that, I will hand off the presentation to my colleagues. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Danny, and thank you to everyone who is joining. I know that, as Danny mentioned, we have more than 500 folks who are joining us, and we're really excited to welcome students, their families, supporters of our students to tune in and learn a little bit more about resident life here at the University of Maryland. My name is Jasmine Pelez, and I am the Communications and Outreach Manager for the Department of Resident Life. It's such an honor to be with you all today. And just a little bit about me, I am an alumna of the university. I was also an RA, or a resident assistant, and a CA, community assistant, resident with Res Life when I was an undergrad. I will also say, as a fun little bit about me, I met my husband while I was an RA in Res Life. So while I won't guarantee you will find the love of your life, I and so many Terps in the Res Halls have found long gratuitous friendships and just meaningful connections here. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over so that you all can meet the other panelists and just an amazing team of experts in housing and programming here at Res Life. And all of us are going to chat with you all with a little bit more information about something that's coming up. And I know that a lot of students are really excited for, which is, of course, assignment release. So for now, I will turn it over to Linda to introduce herself. Linda?
Good morning. My name is Linda Dye. I am a public inquiry coordinator here at the Department of Resident Life. I am an alum of the University of Maryland as well. I go by she, her pronouns, and I don't know if we're doing any special things. I was never an RA, but I did live in Worcester Hall. So I am a former resident of Res Life.
Thanks,
Good afternoon,
Linda.
everyone. My name is Genevieve Conway. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an assistant director here in the Department of Resident Life. Maybe a fun fact is that I also am a parent of an incoming Terp. This August, I'll be helping to move my middle son in. So very excited to welcome you all.
And I'll round up the introductions. I'm Dan Harefield, he, him pronouns, program manager for residential and community engagement. I am also a Terp alum. I was a resident assistant. I was a student in the College Park Scholars Program. And a fun little interesting fact is my first year of college here at Maryland, our men's basketball team won a national championship. So I like to say I bring the luck, not necessarily the skill. But I'll turn it back over to Jasmine for the next piece here.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you all for sharing a fun fact about yourselves. I'm going to talk you all through our agenda for today. Here are the things that we're going to be chatting with you all about, because we know that we are really excited to share information with our students, with their families, with their supporters about the Maryland residential experience. And as I alluded to before, something that is coming up around the corner next week, which is assignment release day. And really at the center of this webinar, we're going to be sharing details about that upcoming assignment release. What is the information that we will be sharing with you, and how will that information influence your move-in day coming soon in August? And we'll also touch upon some vendor and partnerships that we have with some vendors locally here, and partnerships for students when they're thinking about how to prepare their space, how to prepare their room. We have a lot of good information about that. And then, of course, at the end, we'll share some reminders, things to keep top of mind as we continue through the summer and as you and your families and supporters prepare for move-in day come August. And then we'll also touch on some additional Q&As that maybe weren't addressed in the chat, some things that maybe were really popular and would be helpful to discuss again before we close out our time with you all. So without further ado, in true college fashion, we are going to begin with an icebreaker because we want to know a little bit about you. You heard a little bit about us, our team, and our experience with Res Life. So we'd love to learn a little bit more about you. So you will see coming up on your screen just an opportunity for you to share where are you joining us from today. We'd love to know where our Terps are from, whether it's your home base or if you're currently on vacation somewhere fun. We really want to know. So we'll leave this up for about a minute or so folks can type in their responses. We'll give it just a bit longer, and I'm excited to know where all folks are from.
I'll give
Danny, I
folks
might
about
ask for
10
your
more
help.
seconds.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Danny.
And for the folks who are on YouTube, I will go ahead and start sharing some of those. We have Northern Virginia, Long Island, a lot of Maryland folks, Hong Kong, California, PA, Tennessee, New Jersey, and let me go ahead and launch the results here in Zoom.
Thank you, Danny. I don't think I'm seeing it on my end, Danny. So if you can read some aloud and if you're seeing them.
Sure. Yeah, I think because it turned it into a word cloud, which is pretty cool. So I'll save this. We have a lot of folks from Maryland, College Park, Baltimore, Boston, Columbia, Virginia, North Carolina, California, Connecticut, Frederick. Let's see.
Awesome. So we definitely have
A lot
Terps
of
from
folks.
many areas. I love to see that we have students and family members coming far and wide to join us today. And thank you, Danny, for reading some of those aloud. We really look forward to welcoming folks from wherever you're coming from come August. And it was nice to learn a little bit about you all here today. Now I'm going to turn it over to Linda so we can really begin to dive into the content today. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about assignment release, the information that's going to be shared with you about your room assignment, roommates, all that good stuff. You'll hear a little bit of context as well about how assignments are made, just so that you have a better understanding of that. And then we'll transition to learning a little bit about our vendors and things that you might want to look into for your space come August. And then we'll round out with some Q&A. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Linda.
Thank you very much, Jasmine. Good afternoon to everyone, wherever you are. So I'm sure you're wondering, how does our team meet the challenge of signing nearly 6,000 students that are new to housing for the fall? And as we've already shared with you, we have a really large incoming first year class. Given the tremendous interest with us with living on campus, we remained committed to providing on-campus housing to first-year students. That is our priority. When assigning students, our team is thorough and takes into account multiple considerations, including students' gender preferences, approved medical housing accommodations, living and learning program, and academic program participation. And of course, the verify roommate requests. Additionally, our team also accounts for housing preferences, such as living in our female-only residence hall or living near the Maryland Hillel. So next slide, please. Okay, so in formulating our assignments, our team will also review and account for additional criteria, such as the date our team received your housing and dining agreement, gender preferences, and our available housing options. New to housing students or new to housing residents will be assigned throughout the spectrum of our housing options. So that includes traditional halls, but also suites, semi-suites, apartments, and the houses on the row. Students placed in suites, semi-suites, apartments, and the houses on the row have the opportunity to live in spaces other than traditional halls. And our community staff is here to help them transition to on-campus living. So we're excited to offer the houses on Fraternity Row again for a second year. The houses are managed by the Department of Resident Life and will be exclusively used or used exclusively by residence hall students and not by any fraternity or sorority organizations. And I believe in the chat or in the Q&A, somebody shared a link for the information about the residence halls, houses on the row. Next slide. Let me join you over there. Okay, here's an important date to note, the most important date of all, July 16th. Beginning on July 16th, you will receive an email between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., so during the business day, announcing that your room assignment is ready and you can view it on our housing portal. This email will list your room assignment and point you to the housing portal where you can find even more up-to-date information such as your roommate, names, and their contact information. Additionally, you will be given your assignment move-in date and time at that same time. To ensure the efficient flow of traffic on campus residents will be asked to move in between August 27th and August 29th. As a general overview, I'm sorry, I'm having some difficulty with my technology. Our priority is to support students that move in. So primarily the new Living and Learning Program students arrive on Thursday, August 27th. Additional new students, so students not participating in any programs, will move in on Thursday, August 27th. And Friday, August 28th. Our priority is to support students move in and ensure they can all access their campus housing with as much ease as possible. If you are unable to arrive during your assigned time, that's fine. It's okay. If you can't arrive at your assigned time, you are welcome to move in anytime after 4 p.m. on the day of your assigned arrival. So that is 4 p.m. After your assigned arrival time. On your housing portal, you will also find your mailing address. Use the designated format as your mailing for snail mail and packages. Please do not ship items to your mailing address prior to your arrival to campus. We can only accept items to the residence halls after you have arrived and moved in. If you are moving in from farther away, you may want to look into options for an Amazon hub or FedEx location. Take some time to explore possible options. We do not have any direct partnerships with off-campus shipping or mailing organizations. We want to remind you that you may receive your assignment email at a different time than your roommate or another new Terp. We'd be reaching out to more than 5,000 students, so your email may hit your inbox a bit later in the day. We encourage you to keep cool, even though it's summer and everything's a little bit hot. and know that your assignment is on the way on July 16th. And it looks like the next person to present is going to be Genevieve. So take it away, Genevieve.
Thank you so much, Linda. So we want to talk a little bit about next steps. Once you get that, once you get that assignment, once you sort of have some of those logistical things in place when it comes to knowing your move-in time and having some of those things settled for you, we want to talk about what will happen after that. So one of the things we really want to stress is keep an open mind. Living in the residence halls is going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity. So getting to know others, making friends, immersing yourself in a new community, these are all fantastic things. And we know they come with some level of anxiety for transition. And so we want to make sure that you understand we have your back. We understand moving out of a family home, moving to be more independent, takes a lot of skill sets to start to develop. And we want to help students do that. And so we want to make sure that you understand, going in, that you're keeping an open mind on sort of what are those things that you can start to really develop as skills to make yourself successful. You should be prepared to have a roommate. We have received a tremendous amount of interest for on-campus housing from not only our incoming Terps, and so we remain but our returning Terps really enjoyed it as well. But we're really committed to our incoming Terps, first year students. So we'll have a full house this fall. So you should be prepared to share space with a roommate, either in a double, a triple, or a quad. So this year, we should start to, as we go into this year, you should start to think about sort of how are you going to be a great roommate in order to have a great roommate. We have some information on our website, on the Move-In website page, about roommate relationships. And we talk a little bit about the 3 C's. So getting to know your roommates and sort of ways you do that is with connection, cooperation, collaboration, and a communication. And that will start right from the beginning. Having a great roommate means takes some time and effort on both of your parts to make sure that that space is a space that you can comfortably sleep and study. And it is a relationship that takes some time and some effort and some real thought and intentionality on everyone's part to make sure that that's a relationship that's going to work for everyone. So one of the things is, when you get that assignment, make sure you're reaching out to your roommate prior to move-in. These can be sort of things like, getting to know each other, getting to learn a little bit more about sort of who they are, what they enjoy, and sort of more logistical things like, are you going to bring a refrigerator? Should we rent one together? What's your thoughts about bed lofts? So sort of some of the logistical things. When are you moving in? When am I moving in? All of those types of information can be great for those pre-conversations prior to move-in. We do want to also just really let you know, one of the things that Linda talked about was the complexity of our assignment process. And so we just want to sort of put out sort of a reminder that when we did our roommate finder, we're really striving to honor those requests, but those requests are not a guarantee. They are a request. So we are striving to meet those, but they're not always a guarantee. So going in to your assignment time frame, knowing that if you have a roommate, how are you building that community and that relationship with them is going to be a really important component of having a successful first year. I'm ready for the next slide. So one of the things we really want to sort of have as a message coming out is that when our assignments are released, they are final. So there is not a period after those releases where we can make changes. We have quite a large class, and it really is important for us to ensure that we're able to house all of our first year students. And so they are final. We can't make any changes prior to move-in. You will have students have an opportunity to submit a reassignment request in September. So once we've moved in, we've determined who is here, how that everyone has shown up, and so we are able to do a reassignment request process in the fall. And you'll get information in your emails about that if a reassignment is something that you would be pursuing. Our staff, of course, is always here for you and happy to assist. So if questions arise after the assignments are released, we're wanting to answer those questions. We have our ResLife email address of just reslife@umd.edu. We're happy to assist as those sort of information needs come up, and if there is a concern, we're happy to work with you to address it. So that email is a great great resource for you going into our assignment process. I am happy to hand it off to Dan Harefield, my colleague, to talk a little bit about vendors.
All right, thank you, Genevieve. So we've talked through some of the elements of the assignments process and a little bit of the mental planning and connections with future roommates and all of that. Now let's dive a little bit into some logistics. Um, Planning to come to campus is a lot. There's a whole list of things that you're probably starting to sort through. How are you going to help your students' room feel like the home away from home? And I now have a few vendors that I can present to you all that will help take a little bit of that pressure off your shoulders. I do want to mention, first of all, that we do have a list of items on our website, so you can start to think through the items that you need to bring with you for your student. Items that you definitely leave at home that are prohibited from coming into the residence halls, and ones that you should coordinate with roommates, thinking about, rugs or carpets, refrigerators, and so on. Those larger items that you don't need to duplicate when you are planning for what you're bringing to campus. But let me talk about a few of these vendors that can help lighten that load and help with thinking through how you can help your student arrange their space. The first one is Breeze. Breeze is a company that provides what's called a micro fridge. It's not a mini fridge, but it's a microwave refrigerator combo. This is a appliance that is allowed in all of our residence halls and allows for students to have access to both a fridge and a microwave directly in their room. Independent microwaves are not allowed in any of our residence halls directly in the student rooms. We do have some common area ones, but a lot of students really do like that convenience of the all-in-one appliance within their space. So Breeze is an open website right now for students to go on and put in a reservation for a micro fridge. Even before they get their assignment, they can at least start the process and then update their information after receiving their assignment starting on July 16th. There is priority pricing for the microfridge rental up to July 25th, but orders can still be submitted after that date up to about the middle of August so that the Breeze Company can be prepared for the number of units they bring into campus, deliver them directly to your student's room, and then you don't have to worry about packing a fridge in the car with all of the other items that you're bringing to campus. Just as a point of clarification, every room is allowed one micro fridge. Certainly, if the students living in that space feel that they need more refrigerator storage, the other student could bring in their own mini fridge, and that's totally fine. So just one of the items that you can rent through our vendor Breeze and lighten the load in the car in the packing and move to campus. The next vendor that I want to talk about is Bedloft. Bedloft is a company that allows for students to have their bed raised up to bunk bed level height, and then it creates a lot more flexibility in the room for how you might want to arrange the furniture or store items or just make the space feel comfortable for all students living in that room. Normally, when you get into your student's room, the bed is going to have about 1 foot of clearance underneath the bed frame. You are certainly allowed to bring your own bed risers to add an additional foot to the bed ends to create 2 feet of space underneath the bed. But if you want more significant space, Bedloft is the company to work with. If you put in the reservation for that rental before August 9th, the company will come in, set it all up for you, and when you and your student move into the space, that it'll be ready to go. The Bedloft kit includes the ladder built into the bed end. There's a safety bar on the side, and then there's an option for getting a tray that gets attached to the headboard or baseboard to have that extra access to anything that you would need when you climb into bed at night. So another great vendor that will do the work for you if you put that rental in before the deadline of August 9th. The last two vendors I want to talk about are more about the room essentials and decor and the other things to help the space feel a little bit more like home. So IKEA, we have one here in College Park. It's actually an exciting place to go to. Plenty of shopping options throughout the store. IKEA is going to work with us to set up an online shopping option that also allows for an on-campus pickup on the Sunday of our fall welcome program, which is going to be August 30th. We don't have an official time yet. We're still coordinating some of those details. But later this summer, we're going to open up a link on the IKEA College Park website that allows for you to put together an order, have that brought to campus, and your student can pick up their items at a designated space on campus on that August 30th. They're going to be present with us as well during a couple other fall welcome events, so you can find out a little bit more about IKEA and the way that they support students here on campus. The other vendor is Swaku. They actually do two different things. They both have room essentials that you can order, have them shipped to home, and then pack those and bring them with you to campus. And they provide care packages that, certainly if you want to support your student throughout the year, maybe it's midterms or finals, or it's a holiday like Halloween, and you just want to have them put together a care package and send it to their residence hall desk to pick up and get that surprise, you can order those through Swaku throughout the year. So some great vendors to consider. I do want to reflect back on one of the points because these are all about lightening the load. I know that there are a lot of families that are traveling from out of state or from some sort of distance. To reiterate a point that Linda made earlier, you should not be shipping any items to campus prior to your student having fully checked in. But a couple of these vendors that I've highlighted here today can help lighten the load, help manage some of the transportation of items, and just make the move-in process just a little bit easier. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Jasmine to wrap up some of the information for this presentation and get to our Q&A.
Thanks so much. Okay, guys, I'm going to talk with you about a couple last minute reminders, things to keep fresh in your mind, and something to also look forward to. Keep an eye, as we said many times, keep an eye on your inbox beginning July 16th for your housing assignment, for information about your roommate, if you have one. All of that good stuff will be becoming available beginning July 16th. And also keep in mind that that email might come to you sometime between 9 and 4. So if you hear from others that they've already received your email, just hold on tight. We will get it to you. It just might still be in the works. We're going to be sending it, as mentioned before, to nearly 6,000 students. So it takes a little time on our end to send those out. And also keep in mind that your assignment might come after July 16th. But rest assured, we are working very diligently on completing these and being able to share them beginning on the 16th. I also want to make note that accommodations, if you're a student that's looking for accommodation, the best consideration date for that was May 30th. So if you need to register, please contact the Accessibility and Disability Service as soon as possible. And I just also want to provide some context that ADA is a unit that reviews and approves and implements accommodations. Resident Life does not approve accommodations. We work absolutely closely with ADA, but we are not the ones to approve accommodations. That's something that you really have to seek with the Accessibility and Disability Service. So please do that as soon as possible if that's something that you need. And also keep in mind something to look forward to. Thursday, August 6th, we'll be back at 7 this time to share another webinar, our final webinar of this summer series, completely focused on mastering move-in day. We're going to dive deeper into how you can prepare for that big day. Who are the people that you need to have around you on that day? What are the things that you should and should not pack before coming to campus? And just some tidbits on how to make it a really smooth, successful day for everyone involved. So please, if you haven't already, you can register on the link provided here and also on our website. So we really hope that we see some familiar faces, some folks on August 6th as well. And one last thing, we want to make sure that students do not forget to verify your immunizations. Students received email notifications from the University Health Center back in June and again this week. So we really want to highlight this information, make sure that it's something that you are already thinking about with your family and with your support team, that new students have to submit proof of required immunizations before they come in for move-in. So this is something something that you can absolutely take action today or start thinking about before your arrival to campus. And of course, we have some to-dos here, downloading the immunization record form at the link provided here, having your healthcare provider complete that form, and then the final step, entering your immunization, attaching that completed form through the University Health Center at the link provided here. Just make sure that it's something that you're already thinking about with your family, or bonus points if you've already completed it. So just something that we really want to put on folks' radar as you begin thinking about all the things to prep and prepare for move-in day in August. And of course, if you have any questions specifically about immunization forms, please visit the Health Center website for more information, health.umd.edu. They've got great resources and folks that you can connect with on more information about that. Alrighty, y'all. Believe it or not, that wraps up all the information that we were happy to share with you today. We're going to take a look at the Q&A, see if there are any lingering questions. And please, if there is a question about assignment release, about any of our vendors, about anything that else is on your mind, please submit it as a Q&A and we can answer those additional questions. And also keep in mind that some questions that you have floating around will probably also be answered during our August 6th webinar, which again covers fully mastering move-in day, all the things to get you prepped to move in come August. So let's take a look at our Q&A, see if there are some questions that remain unanswered, or Danny, if you see any questions that are coming in from the YouTube folks, please let me know and we can get some answers to you. Let's see.
Yes, I do have a couple questions. There was some confusion about the micro fridge and if they could have more than one in a room, or if they could have a micro fridge from Breeze and then also their own mini fridge. So just confirmation on that, if you could provide that, Dan, please.
Yeah, of course. So there's a limit of one micro fridge per residence hall room. But if there, let's say, are two students living in that space, they can both rent a micro fridge and one of the students could bring a separate mini fridge. That is approved. Or if you don't rent the micro fridge, each student could bring their own mini fridge. The one thing that's not allowed is to bring your own independent unit microwave.
And then, so just to confirm, there was a question, can families purchase their own micro fridge combo? And the answer to that would be no, because they can't have their own microwave.
Correct. The micro fridges through Breeze are the ones that are specifically approved in our residence halls for safety and electrical issues. So we can't approve any non-Breeze related micro fridges.
Thank you. There was, oh, go
I can
ahead.
also just jump in real quick because I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat for clarification about bed risers, the bed loft, the heights, and all of that. So I go with the concept of 1-2-6. 1 foot of clearance underneath the bed if you do nothing and just move in and the bed is in its move-in position. 2 feet of clearance if you decide to bring your own bed risers, which are those little plastic caps you can put on bed ends. You can buy at any department store or what have you. That gives you that extra foot of height to raise it from 1 to 2. And then the bed lofts give you about 6 feet of clearance underneath the bed. And the only loft that is approved to use in our residence halls would be through bed loft specifically. So you do have to do the rental through our specific vendor. And I will mention additionally that we are not able to do bed lofts in the houses on the row, but they are approved in most of our other spaces around campus.
There was a question about the IKEA furniture option. So if students are in a living learning program and they have an earlier move-in, Is it true that they still won't receive their furniture until August 30th?
Well, don't get any big furniture. Let me just say that first. I know IKEA has a lot of different options. So if you're talking about things like a side table, a chair, that type of stuff, yes, it'll still be August 30th will be the pickup time in the designated space on campus, which we'll promote once that is officially confirmed. So regardless of when you order that and when your move-in date and time is, the IKEA pickup will be specifically on August 30th.
Thank you. Um, there was a question about like kettles and coffee pots and things like that. On the list of items to bring, there's also prohibited items. So please make sure you refer to that page for all of the items that are prohibited.
I think a good rule, Danny, for if it's prohibited or not, things like air fryers, small toasters, the sort of heating elements that you would normally do in a kitchen, we would say are not allowed in the bedroom. And so that's just sort of a good rule to sort of keep in mind when determining if you can bring it in or not. It's also good to sort of just reiterate, we do not allow micromobility items to be in the halls. And so we would say to our incoming students, do not bring any micromobility items, e-scooters, e-bikes, those types of things. We do have a great program on campus where they can rent those to get from class to class. And so that's a great opportunity for them. We do not allow them in the halls.
I'll go ahead and link the list of prohibited items so that folks can take a minute to review that. Make sure that your student is not packing any of these items before they come to college.
There are some questions here in this YouTube space about move-in and the different move-in dates. Can you just confirm when students will learn of their move-in date and time?
Yep, so students will receive that information once they receive their assignment. So once you receive your assignment, you'll receive an email saying, hey, it's here. We're excited to share with you your room assignment. And it will direct you to our housing portal. There will be a link to your email, so you can easily just click on that. You'll sign in using your user ID and your passphrase, and then you will see your arrival passport. Your arrival passport has information that you need, all the information that you need really for move-in day, including your room assignment and also your specific move-in date. So I just really want to be clear that when you're thinking about preparing for move-in day, you really follow the date and your arrival time that's provided in your arrival passport, all of which will be available to you via the housing portal. You will receive a link to that in an email notification letting you know that your assignment is ready to be viewed.
Thank you. There are some questions both in the YouTube space and Zoom about parking. And so I'm going to put in the chat a link for parking. Students are permitted to bring vehicles, but they do need to register them and purchase parking permits. And so that information is available on the Transportation Services website. And so I've put that link in the chat for everyone.
And I'll also clarify that when it comes to parking for move-in day specifically, part of your arrival passport will also have information about where you or your family member can go to park for long-term parking after you've already unloaded your belongings and you're like, where do I park my car now? We will have information on locations for you to park for long-term parking, and we'll also provide directions to those places. So folks will have it for move-in day specifically.
Thank you. I did see some questions about students accessing their UMD email address. My understanding is that students will get access to their UMD email address once they register for classes, which generally happens at orientation. So once you or your student has attended orientation, they will have access to their email address. If you have questions about that, please contact the Information Technology Division of IT for questions about that. Looking through some of these questions to see. There's a lot of move-in day questions. And so just a reminder that we will have a move-in webinar. Jasmine, can you go back to that slide that shows the date? I believe it's like August 9th or 6th or something.
Oh, yep. Yes, absolutely. For a webinar. Yes. And then
Yes.
you can also, if you haven't already registered for it, check out this web page. Has information specifically for our new students, including the registration link for that August webinar. So please, if you haven't already, register and hear so much more information about move-in day specifically. Your questions will be answered and addressed at that time. Or you guys can always feel free to email ResLife so that if it's something urgent or something that you thought you heard and you just want to clarify, we're always here to help support you. I'll put our email address again in the chat so folks have it.
There were some questions about dining plans as well, so I put that in the chat. Our colleagues in dining services, their website is robust about all the things, dining plans, what the options are, the different dining halls and whatnot. So definitely refer to that website for more information. For the folks who are answering questions, are there things that we want to answer or respond to live?
There have been a couple of questions about non-electric scooters and bikes. If they are not an e-scooter or an e-bike, you are welcome to bring them. We do have bike rooms and bike racks all around campus and in our residence halls, so we do have spaces to store them. There also has been some questions about air purifiers and safes. You do not need to rent those from the company in order to bring them. They are allowed. Really, our micro fridges are the ones, the areas given the power draw from those that we are much more limited in. And so you can bring your own air purifier and safe if you wanted to do that.
There are some questions about move-in activities, welcome activities, things like that. We'll share more information about that in the move-in webinar, but there will be tons of opportunities for students to meet each other, connect with their roommate, connect with people on their floors, and just throughout campus. So definitely plan to tune in for our move-in webinar. We will share more about that.
I know that Dan is here and he is our lead in making all things fall welcome. So Dan, I don't know if you want to provide the folks a little teaser about fall welcome that might be helpful.
Oh, of course. Happy to do so. So a quick little snapshot into what the activities of the extended weekend look like. For our living learning programs that move in on August 27th, there will be some welcome activities that happen in the evening between things like dinners and ice cream socials and get to know you events. And then we'll be hosting a few other activities in the evening that are for all students, regardless of whether or not you're in a living learning program. On Friday, that's really the main kickoff for our Fall Welcome event series, with the marquee Welcome to the Big Show experience happening on Friday evening. Students will be able to enter the stadium around 7 p.m. This event is where they get a welcome from our university president, Dr. Daryl Pines, and our VP for Student Affairs. They will get to learn from athletics all of the traditions and songs and dances that are associated with our athletics and being a Terp, and take the class photo on the field for the class of 2030. There will be other large scale events that are happening after Welcome to the Big Show throughout the day on Saturday, including our Free Fest Resource Fair, which is a festival style experience to learn about all of the programs and departments and supports that exist for students here within the College Park community. And then there will be activities that continue through Sunday with movies and games. Recreation and Wellness will put together a whole series of activities on Sunday evening. So there's plenty on in store for our students throughout that weekend. We'll get that schedule posted here within the next week or so, right before the assignment release, so you know what to expect for that opening weekend.
I also want to share, Dan, that we know that this is a ton of information, right? We are going to update our website, but also I'll really alert our students who are still in the webinar to make sure that that you are checking out your email, your UMD email address. That will be a primary resource for how Resident Life communicates with you, not only leading up to move-in day with information about your assignment and with reminders about when move-in day is and tips and tons of information, but also throughout the academic year. That is also a pretty important means of communication in which we try to reach your students with information about spring break and all the breaks that happen throughout the academic year and all of that good stuff. So really, really important maybe habit to get into is regularly checking your UMD email and emails that are coming from Reslife.
Thank you. We may talk more about this at the move-in webinar, but can we share a little bit about safety and who's allowed in the residence halls? Because I've seen that question come up in a few places.
We, in terms of safety in the residence halls, we have what we call a triple layer to entering the building. So when a student is assigned to a building, they have swipe access through their ID. So they would have been getting their physical IDs during their orientations. If that doesn't happen, if they're not doing an on-campus orientation, but they're doing a virtual one, there'll be some time for them to go to the registrar and get an ID. We have some ways to help them if there's a gap between when they arrive on campus and when they get their ID. So they swipe in the front door, they're going to swipe, then need to swipe and have the access to call an elevator or enter a stairwell, and then access swiping in the once in the elevator to be able to call to a certain floor. And so students in that building have access. And of course, we do have physical keys. And so the doors lock, the students are responsible for their keys. And so it's really about just reminding some students, it might be good to start to practice these skills at home this summer in terms of when you go to bed, are you locking your doors? That sometimes is a skill that needs to be practiced a bit to sort of just make it part of the routine. I'm going to bed, I'm going to lock my door from the inside, and when I leave, I'm going to lock my door. Some of them are automatic locking and some of them are not. And so it's really about sort of figuring out once you get there, what's going to be the best thing for you to be cognizant of. Holding your key. You know, my one of the big things for even me, I have an electronic keypad at home. And so when I come to work, I have to make sure that I have my physical key to get into my office at work. And so it's a skill set and some practice that needs to happen. So that's one of the sort of safety features. I think we also have a robust resident life presence in the halls. So we have resident assistants who are living on each floor, and they do have duty. And so that means they're doing rounds of the buildings nightly and are there to respond to student crisis, facility issues, or other things that may come up. And so that's sort of a big layer of safety. We do, of course, have our own university police force who are just for the University of Maryland. They are trained as state employees. So they are not a security service. They are a university police force in the state of Maryland. And so they do provide some additional safety. We have blue lights. We have different processes across campus when walking at home in the evening, in terms of like ways to get some, one to walk with you from the library if you're studying late back to your residence halls. And so those are all options that we have for students, and we provide them a lot of information when they get here on how to access those resources. Danielle, was that sort of like you were thinking of when that sort of answering those questions?
Yes, that's perfect. Um, And also, there was a question about are students from other houses allowed into your housing? Again, because you need card access to get into a building, that student would need to come and let you in,
You
if
would
you're holding
be
access.
Exactly. You would be a guest, right? Even though you're all University of Maryland students, you'd be a guest of that resident. And the expectation is, if I'm inviting Jasmine over to study in my residence hall, she doesn't live with me, I need to go down to the lobby and get her. If I've invited Dan to come and visit me and he doesn't live here, he's not a University of Maryland student, I still need to go down and get him. They are my guests while they're in the building, and I need to be the ones to be responsible for them.
Yes.
There's a couple of things that I kind of saw in the chat that I'd love to address as well. Some folks are asking, can I still select a roommate? Unfortunately, the roommate finder process had already concluded. If you are assigned a roommate, you will receive that roommate's information during assignment release. And as Genevieve mentioned extensively, we have a ton of tips on our website about how to be a good roommate, and we really encourage you to have an open mind about the roommate that you are assigned to, and really use our website as a reference. And I also want to share that once you do move in and you are living with that roommate, we do have support staff, our community staff, who are really there to help and support you in this transition. We know that it can be a new one for folks to be sharing a space with others. So you will have your RA, you will also have your resident director, a professional staff member who can really kind of help support you in that transition as well. So unfortunately, you cannot select a roommate at this time. And some folks are asking, can I see my room before move-in? Unfortunately, no. Our resident life team and our residential facilities team is working diligently this summer to get all of our halls ready and prepped for students to move back in. So unfortunately, you are not able to see your room beforehand, but I do encourage you, once you receive your room assignment and you know your room type, whether it be a double, a triple, a quad, you can go on to our website. I'm going to add it here in the chat where you can check out 360 virtual tours of typical double rooms and triple rooms in different residence halls, so you can get a bit of a sense of what your room will look like. Let me drop that in the chat. And unfortunately, we do not share dimensions on this page for actual rooms that you will be assigned to. But this kind of helps you give a visualization of what that room will look like.
And while Jasmine's doing that, I do want to mention, because there were some questions on the YouTube about if you're out of state and shipping things to the university. We're not able to accept packages until after you have arrived and checked in. So please don't ship anything before you get here, at least to your campus residents. If you do need to ship things, you can ship them to Amazon hubs or FedEx locations, UPS, um, those types of areas, to where once you get here, then you can go pick it up and then bring it to campus. So please don't ship it to the university before you've arrived and checked in and received your key and everything.
Thank you, Danny. That is a really important point, and I think it's important enough to stress again. Please do not ship anything to your residence hall until after you move in. We've gotten a couple of questions like that, not only in this webinar, but also folks have been emailing us with that information. So just really reiterating, do not ship, do not send, do not Amazon anything to your room assignment until after you have checked in. That's the best way to ensure that that package will actually reach you, which of course is what we want as well.
All right, just to jump back in for one quick second, I've seen a couple requests for me to clarify the 126 space information underneath the beds. So standard, when you get into your student's room, there's going to be 1 foot of space of storage underneath the bed. If you add bed risers, which you could purchase at any big box department style store or online stores, that can give you 1 additional foot, which puts it up to 2 feet of space underneath the bed. And then the bed loft that you can rent through the bed loft company gives you 6 feet of space underneath the bed. So if you're trying to think about what type of flexibility you want with moving furniture around and storage options within the room. The 126 is one is standard, two is standard plus bed risers, and six is with the bed loft. And bed lofts have to come through the bed loft company. You cannot bring your own or rent through some other service. It has to be through bedloft.com.
Great. So we don't have any other questions in the Q&A, and I think we've gone through most of them on the YouTube as well. If you do have any additional questions, please, please, please reach out to the Department of Resident Life. Their information is here on the last slide. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate your commitment to staying informed and engaged. And thank you to our Resident Life staff for their presentation and being on to answer all these questions. As a reminder, a recording of this webinar is going to be available on our YouTube, our Terp Family YouTube channel later today. You'll also receive a follow-up email if you're in the Zoom space with some of the links that we've shared today, as well as a brief survey. If you're in our YouTube space, or excuse me, I may have missaid that. If you're in the Zoom space, I have your emails, and so I'll be able to send that information to you. If you're on YouTube, please come back to the description of the upload that I'll have of this recording, and you'll be able to see all of the links and the resources there in the description. You'll also receive a survey, so let us know how we did, how we can improve, and other topics that you'd like us to discuss. And again, thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.